Hello again, and on the second session, I'm going to present you the topic of the educational buildings in Edirne. I will try to present it as soon as possible, as fast and briefly because of the time limits. Let me introduce myself again. I'm research assistant Dr. Saygın Alkan from Trakya University, Architecture Faculty, and the chair of the restoration. And here we go. I will share my screen first. Here is the presentation. Historical educational buildings in Edirne. Edirne has been an important settlement since the oldest eras of the history. It's also an important city due to its proximity to Istanbul and its own location. In the geography of Edirne, there are Thracians, Persian Empire, Macedonian Empire, Roman Empire, Byzantine Empire, Ottoman Empire has ruled. And today Republic of the Turkey rules. Here you can see the maps of the Edirne and the city center. Unfortunately, there is only small amount of cultural heritage remaining in Edirne until the period of the Roman and Byzantine Empire. The majority of the cultural heritage found in Edirne since the Ottoman Empire period and the Turkish Republic. Edirne has been developed city as the result of being the capital of the Ottoman Empire since the 14th century. Although the capital was moved to Istanbul, the urban activities continued in Edirne. Therefore, there are many buildings belong to different disciplines in Edirne. Education is the discipline that one of them. Let me talk about the traditional education in Ottoman Empire for knowing the subject. The education system in the Ottoman Empire is divided into two as traditional and contemporary. In addition, foreign communities have various educational institutions of their own. The traditional education system was influenced by the Seljuk Empire, that was the ancestor of the Ottomans. Until the 19th century, an understanding of education based on Islamic principles. From the 19th century, Western-style educational institutions emerged as the result of the modernization movements. On the one hand, traditional educational institutions continued to function. A mixed structure, both traditional and contemporary, prevailed. The first areas where the education was given were mosques and masjids. They are regional education areas and the progress with the voluntary basis. There was no unity, integrity, and state intervention in education. Sıbyan mektepleri and Darul Huffaz were at the primary education level in Ottoman Empire. Before training students in madrasa, there were the units where education was firstly given. Here you can see the illustration of the mosques and masjids. And going on the traditional education, madrasas correspond to secondary and higher education levels in the Ottoman Empire. Madrasas is divided into two as general madrasa and professional madrasa. General madrasa are at the level of the secondary education level today. Islamic and natural science courses have been given in the units. Professional madrasas are at the higher education level and specialize in fields such as theology, literature, medicine, mathematics, and law. Madrasas are generally located next to the mosques or as a part of mosque complex. Apart from these two types of madrasa, there is also Endurun Mektebi. Endurun Mektebi is a kind of different. It's located in the palace. With palace, I mean the government of its era, it's the power, the management of the country, and it serves the palace. And in addition, the natural science. Naturally, they have the profession of administrative and military science course on these units. Here you can see the Beyazıt Külliyesi, Beyazıt complex. The white and black one and colored one is the medrese next to it, and there is the right one, the Süleymaniye complex, and the colored one, on the black and white screen. Here you can see the medrese is one part of the complex, and you can see left one medrese is one part of the complex. And let's continue with contemporary education in Ottoman Empire. In the 19th century, the Ottoman Empire took various steps towards modernization. One of these steps has been in the field of education. After the 1899 Tanzimat Fermanı, the Marif Nezareti, it's the meaning of today's Minister of Education, and Tanzimat Fermanı means the modernization regulation, was established in 1857. In 1869, the first law prepared in the field of education, Marifi Umumiye Nizamnamesi, it was. Contemporary education units have been operating since 1869. On the one hand, while traditional units preserved their functions, a mixed education life was seen with the contemporary units, as I said before. Ottoman education was divided into 3 levels with the new regulation. These levels are primary, secondary, and higher education levels. The 2 levels of the primary education are Mektebi İdadi and Mektebi Rüşdiye. Then Mektebi İdadi and Mektebi Sultani are existed at the secondary education level. In 1846, Darül Fünun was opened as higher education institution. Here you can see the Mektebi İptidai and photograph of the areas, Mektebs, here you can see. And continue with contemporary education. Was opened in the capital of the empire, Istanbul. In 1882, the same unit was opened in Edirne, the opening of the military high school in 1845, and the fact that Edirne was the second army center, it showed that Edirne still maintain its importance. On the one hand, it will not be wrong to say that military concerns take place primarily in contemporary education in 19th century. It started to be opened İptidai Mektebi instead of Sıbyan Mektebi. İptidai Mektebs are the primary education institution of their time. Then Rüşdiye Mektebi and İdadi Mektebi were opened, and this corresponded to today's secondary education level. It started to spread throughout all the country, and it was obligated to train new teachers. As a result, Darül Muallimins, units that which train teachers, starts to be opened. The first teacher school was established in Istanbul 1848, as I said before, and in 98 its number reached the 31. Here you can see the military school of Trakya University, where I'll show the presentation. You will come to here next week, the historic photograph of these buildings. And I would like to say more about education, the other function of other part of non-Muslim education system in Ottoman Empire. In traditional Ottoman society, situation that the presence of the medrese next to the mosque or inside the mosque complex became a step for opening school for non-Muslim community next to the church or inside the church complex is the similar way of the Muslims and Christians or non-Muslims. The non-Muslim schools were generally part of non-Muslim foundation, and they are usually under the control of the church and religious institutions. With the 1856 Islahat Fermanı, the regulation, the non-Muslim public became more active in order to operate in the field of education. They started to have rights of creating primary, secondary, higher, and professional degrees among their own school. Thanks to 1869 Marif Nizamnamesi, English, French, German, American, Russian, Austro-Hungarian, and Italian schools start to operate in the country at the end of 19th century. By the end of the 19th century, there are 54 regional mektebs, 47 medrese, 21 Turkish primary school, 20 Greek community school, 12 Greek community school, 11 Bulgarian Orthodox community school, 5 Armenian community school, 3 foreign schools as Italian, French, and Australian, and two Jewish community schools as secondary or higher education building was built in Edirne. Now let's see the examples of the education buildings. The Mektebi Rüşdiye. In history, it's Mektebi Rüşdiye and today used as Atatürk Primary School. You can see the photograph and the plan scheme. The building is located on Lisebayır Street, Sabuni district, next to the Sifti Shah Sultan Mosque. It was built in 1882 by Kadri Pasha, the governor of the Edirne, also one of the former prime ministers. It was built as Mektebi Rüşdiye. The school continued the private education as Mektebi İdadi Mülki, it means civil high school, by the governor of Hacı İzzet Pasha in 1885. In 1892, a second building of equal dimensions was built 13 meters behind the school building, and it was turning into boarding house with dormitory. In 1999, during the time of the Hacı Adil Bey, another floor was added to the building and it became Mektebi Sultani. In 1912, it was used as the hospital. During the Greek invasion in 1920, education was suspended for 2 years. It was renamed Edirne High School in 1924. It became Central Secondary School in 1966, and in 1968 it was named Atatürk Primary School and still remains today. The building was built with masonry system, as you can see in the pictures, which has 2 floors. Here you can see the semi-basement floor. The building was designed almost T-plan scheme, as you can see before one slide earlier. In the north and east facades, there are special organizations creates more visual dynamic effect. East and west facades are closer to being flat and simple. Building has small atrium. You will see in the next slide, and hipped roof that covered it with Marsilya tile. The basement floor walls are painted darker. The upper floors were painted softer pink. Window jambs are ornamental and painted with white with the stone. There are cornices between the floors. Some of them are single, some of them are multiple cornices. Since the facades are formed by 2 separate buildings, they have a mixed appearance in total, but harmonious appearance among themselves. When carefully examined, layout of the windows and different facades between the northeast facade and southwest facade become obvious. In the northeast facade, there are low arched windows exit. You can see there are low arched windows here. And on the other hand, there are full arched windows at southwest facade. You can see there are full arch windows. There are neoclassical style plaster columns, here you can see, in all facades. But there are more plaster columns in northeast facade. In southwest facade, jambs of the windows reach down you can see reach down the color cornices. In the northeast facades and southwest facade of buildings, there are 4 different special organizations. Isolation dynamic and creates a T-plan scheme, obviously. The main entrance of the building from the northwest facade here, it's from the middle partition that protrudes. Access is provided by U-shaped stairway. There are massive neoclassical style columns on the facades that strengthen the vertical visual effect. In the ground floor, there are arched windows are exits. In the second floor, there are rectangle-shaped windows are exits, as you can see. They all have white jambs, same style, and it's continuous on the other facades. Building with T-plan scheme has also a little atrium, as I said before, that creates solution for the lighting problem. You can see Z5 and Z7 locations get the natural light from Z6 atrium. Here you can see the other interior photograph of the buildings. And now next example of the topic, it names of İttihat ve Terakki Darul Eğitimi of its era, and today it's İstiklal Primary School. The school building is located Ortakapı Street in Mithat Pasha neighborhood in the Kaleiçi district of Edirne. It was built 1999 by Hacı Adil Bey, one of the governors of the Edirne, on the land of the Court of Justice. The structure became operational as the İttihat Terakki Darul Eğitimi a year later. It was used as police department for a while at the beginning of 1913. The school, which started the education again 1914, has been active for years. In 1919, it became headquarters building of the prevent invasion of Thrace by the Greeks. At the beginning of the 1990, with the being of headquarters school, the school was moved to Lala Şahin Paşa School in Ayşekadın. When Edirne was occupied by the Greeks, the school was also occupied and used as the bank building until 1922. With the recapture of the Edirne, it became the girls' secondary school in 1922 and 1923 academic year, and the Gazi Paşa Primary School the following year. Until 1927, Gazi, Yusuf Hoca and Üç Şerefeli schools were merged into the same building. The school was named İstiklal Primary School and continued up to today. In 1927 and 1928 academic year, İstiklal Primary School continued to work in the community center building during this time. At the beginning of the 1929 and 1930, İstiklal Primary School, which was teaching the community center, was moved to school buildings. The school has U-plan shape. The building was built of masonry system with 2 floors over the semi-basement floor. Its roof was built a hipped roof and is covered with Marsilya tiles. There is a white cornice between the basement and the ground floor. The basement floor was painted with light tan color and the other floors painted in yellow. The horizontal joints are used to strengthen the horizontal effect on the facade. You can see, and you will see in next picture. The building has 2 entrances, east and west. The east facade faces the main courtyard, as you can see here. It reaches the ground floor at the half of the height with staircase. The western facade meets in the middle of 2 armed staircase, as you see, and in plan and the photograph of the bottom, sorry. The eastern facade of the building facing the courtyard is divided into 3 parts horizontally, and central partition is pulled inward to provide dynamic effect on facade. The north and south facade of the buildings are designed as flat. There are also decorative joint gaps. While some windows are plain, some windows have decorative jambs and decorative window sills. Here you can see the decorative jambs and decorative window sills and the simple rectangle windows. The wooden windows in the building are either designed as group of 3 or as 3 separate windows. As you can see, the group 3 windows and separate windows. The stone jambs above the triple group windows, you can see here, were combined with ornaments to strengthen the horizontal effect. It makes the stronger of the horizontal effect by combined together. The east and west entrance of the building reached around the long, thin horizontal corridor in the plan shown here and connected the 6 spaces in the symmetrical way. Now, next example of the educational buildings. The era is named of its era Asım Bey Darül Eytamı and today Şehit Asım Primary School. The building is located in Kaleci district, Dilaver Bey neighborhood, on the Türk Ocağı Street. The school building was made upon the will of the Mustafa Pasha, District Asım Bey, to open Darül Eytam if he could not return with the money he left while going to First World War. The building was opened as Asım Bey Darül Eytam during the War of the Independence and became the second Darül Eytam structure of the city. Before the school moved to its building, it started education in Muradiye Mesri in 1928. The name of the school at that time was İsmet Pasha. İsmet Pasha School moved this building in 1931 academic year. In 1952, the school was named after Asım Bey, who was martyred in World War I, as he said before. And the name of the school was changed to Martyr Asım Primary School, Şehit Asım İlkokulu. The building has an approximately square plan as a construction system. The semi-basement floor with masonry system. The ground and second floor were built with wooden frame system. It's different from the others. The most of the buildings with stone masonry, but Şehit Asami primary school building with wooden frame system. There is cornice between the floors of the building, while the cornice between the basement and the ground floor is stone. You can see here. But this first floor and second floor, the cornice are wooden. There are pilasters in neoclassical style in all corners of the building. The roof of the building was built as hipped roof and covered with Marsilya tiles. It has 30 centimeter eaves running along the roof. There are low arched windows on the basement floor. You can see the semi-basement floor, low arched windows with the stone. In the basement, the main walls are painted in blue and window jambs are painted in white. The jambs of the windows on the ground and first floors are decorated with ornaments and reached floor the cornice. You can see the ornaments here and reach down the cornice. The entrance facade, which is the northern facade of the building, is divided into three horizontally. There is a wooden bay window on the first floor. Here you can see. The wooden bay window is carried by four wooden columns. 1, 2, 3, 4. It also forms eaves. The entrance is reached by two armed staircase under the eaves. The south facade of the building was divided into three parts in the same way as north facade and protrude from the middle section, the protrude one, here you can see. There are 5 windows on the facade. The windows are mostly divided into 3 vertically and 4 horizontally by wooden legs. Other facades are flat and simple facades. You can see the interior photograph of the Şehit Asım Primary School. After entering the building by stairs, 4 rooms are symmetrically connected to the main space, the sofa. The ladder that provides the vertical circulation has 3 arms. The central arms descend to the basement, while the right and left arms go up the upper floor. The upper floor has the same plan scheme as the ground floor. The building is located on Talat Pasha Street. The opposite, we are in now the next example of the building, the Maria Lorda building, and today it's Edirne Social Science High School. The building is located on Talat Pasha Street, opposite the Bulgarian consulate and adjacent to Sitti Sultan Shah Mosque. The building is placed where the harem room of the palace built by Fatih Sultan Mehmet for his wife Sitti Shah Sultan. After the death of Sitti Shah Sultan, the palace remained empty for a while, then passed into the ownership of the Sadrazam Kara Mustafa Pasha. The harem section of the building was destroyed as a result of the neglect. The building was purchased by Aram Serdar and opened as boarding school for girls named Serdar Shatre. The building was called Serdar Shatre School after 1890, and this building unfortunately burned down in 1993. Upon the burning of the building, Serdar built another building on the same place with the name Maria Lorda. The building remains today as the original building. In 1931, the girls' school has moved to this building. In 1945, the building was used for a year as the physical education secondary teacher school. Then it served as a male teacher school for a year. Then school was converted into girls' teacher school. It served as Teachers High School in 1974, an education institute of 1977 and 1978, and a girls' teacher high school. 2 years later, the institute was closed. Girls' teacher high school operated as Anatolian High School in 1890, and in 1981 and 99 academic year, the school turned into Anatolian Girls' Teacher High School. In 2014, it turned into Edirne Social Sciences High School. Here you can see the photograph and plan scheme. The building was built as 3 floors, masonry on a semi-basement floor. It has a lee plan scheme. It has a repeat roof and covered with Marsilya. The semi-basement floor is covered with pink paint and upper floors are covered with white paint. The ground floor and the second floor are covered with cased-stone low arch windows. You can see the cased-stone and low arch windows here on the door, on the monumental door, and on the windows. And second floor is covered with the, you can see, rectangular windows. The main entrance, 3-meter long arched door with a large cased-stone. Also, it has decorative stone jamb here, and as I mentioned, and all the windows have ornamental stone jamb and windows seals. There is a small dome here behind the tree, and here you can see in the picture, and rectangular pediment at the top of the main entrance. The facade of the building generally gives a plain impression. Apart from the main entrance in the building, there is another entrance with L-shaped staircase from the southeast. This staircase provides first and second floor. There is also balcony ledge on the second floor. Here you can see. There are interior photographs of the buildings. And another example, Polak Mektebi, Polish school. Today is Birinci Murat High School, the Murat I High School. The school is located in Mithat Pasha neighborhood on İzmir Street in Kaleiçi district. It was built 1893 by the Poles as the Polak school, Polish military school. This school started to be called by this name because its founders were Polish. On the same land, there was a school used by Poles and known as the Polak Mektebi. This structure was closed in the Ottoman Russian War in the 1877 and 78 and reopened in 1882 and 83. The surviving structure is that one of that was rebuilt by the Poles in 1893. The building, which was used as school until 1912, was used as hospital during the 1912 and 3 in Balkan War. In 1913, the building became the Polak school again, and in 1915, a girls' teacher school was built by the governor Hacı Bey. Until 1918, the education continued as girls' teacher school. The building, which was returned into its former owners in 1918, operated as the minority school and press school. In 1927, during the Governor İzzet Bey period, the building was purchased by the Ministry of Monopoly and used as the tobacco warehouse. It was purchased by the Ministry of National Education in 1958 and started to be used the boys' primary school. The building, which was used as primary school for boys until October 1973, has been used as Murat I Secondary School in the 1972 and 4 academic year, and as the Murat I High School since the 1984 and 5 academic year. The building, as you can see, has a lee plancher. It was built 3 floors of the masonry on semi-basement floor. The top cover is hipped roof and covered with Marsilya tiles. 3 facades are flat and 1 is recessed facade. The building is painted pink, window jambs and plasters are painted white. Each floor is separated by decorative floor cornice, as you can see here, the plaster columns and decorative floor cornice. Decorations are Decorations are the dominant in almost all building elements. On the west facade facing the courtyard, there are adjacent 3 sash windows. You can see here 3 sashed windows with ornamental white stone jambs here and the case stone here, each of them. The jamb continue vertically from the points where they meet. You can see it joins together where they meet, and it reaches the upper floor and transforms into neoclassical style column plaster upper floor. Here you can see they join and they turn into plaster column as neoclassical style. The windows on the first floor are rectangular, long 2 sash and 4 pane windows with the white stone jamb. Plasters coming from the lower floor visually clearly separate these windows. The three sides of buildings are flat. There are two protruding units in the western part of north facade. These units are small and plain. It has a single window. Still, there are floor cornices and window jambs. Unfortunately, there are inauthentic units at the northern facade entrance of the buildings. Decorative elements were frequently used in the building, as you can see in the pictures in the door and windows and the neoplaster columns. The main entrance door is located above the ground in this picture and reached by the stairs. The staircase is monumentalized with the classical columns and half-arch walls. There are Hellenistic plaster columns in different styles in buildings. There is not only one plaster column style. There are also two neoclassic style plaster column in this building. This building has so much ornamental elements. And ornamental arts are finished with various Hellenistic figures. As you can see, one type of plaster column and the other type of plaster column. Here you can see the interior of the building, and interior is more simple than the exterior. And another example of the education buildings in Edirne, Hamidiye Sanayi Mektebi. Its name at era Hamidiye, it's of its era Hamidiye Sanayi Mektebi, and today used as vocational and technical Anatolian school. The building is located on Horozlubayırı Street in Çavuşbey neighborhood. In 1879, orphaned children in Edirne were placed in Hoca İvaz Medrese on Horozlubayırı by Governor Rauf Bey, and it was named Islahhane. In 1892, the Governor Kadri Pasha was closely involved in the development of this institution, had the houses near the medrese demolished, and built a wooden school called Melci Eytam, where the orphans live. In 1895, the Governor Abdurrahman Pasha demolished the wooden building and had built the current building. You can see in the picture. The name of school was Hamidiye Industry School. The school building served as hospital during Balkan War and as a municipal administration building during the Bulgarian invasion. The school was transferred to Sivas during the World War II in the 1942. It moved from Sivas to Edirne again in 1967. The education building was repaired and took its present form. In 1969 and 17 academic year, Technical High School was opened and started education, and today it operates as the Vocational and Technical Anatolian High School. The building has rectangular plan shape. It was built as 3 floors of masonry on semi-masonry basement. Basement floors painted red, other floors are painted yellow. There are floor cornices separating floors on each floor. The cornice between the first and second floor is more prominent and decorative. Each corner of the building, there are cut stone and neoclassical plaster column exist. There are 2 entrances of building on the east and west facades. The middle section buildings are pulled inwards. On the south facade of the building, the entrance section is retracted and height. There are neoclassical plaster columns. Thanks to this monumental effect was created at the entrance. The windows are covered with cut stone jambs. The upper jambs of the windows are combined with the floor cornices. You can see here. The Hellenistic influence was strong on that. Yeah, really monumental entrance in the photograph. Now another entrance of the building with cut stone and full arched door, full arched windows with the jamb of cut stone. Here the interior photograph of the buildings. Now I'm going to continue presentation with the headlines of the subject because I have time limit. Maybe I exit time limit. Sorry for that. Now I will do it faster with the headlines. The Edirne Primary School It was the Alyan Musevi Mektebi in the 95. Two masonry floors on semi-basement floor. Red and white mixed paint. Rectangular plan scheme, hipped roof with Marseille tiles. Neoclassical style. Floor cornices here. Arched door with the stone jamb. You can see here. And keystone. Arc windows with triangular pediment. You can see here the triangular pediment on the windows. You can see the other facades of the Edirne Primary School. And the three other facades are here. And the interior buildings of the building, the classroom, the staircase, the corridor, the semi-basement floor from the entrance. Now another example, Yusuf Hoca Primary School today. It was the name of Darul Irfan in 1944. This building, two masonry floor, open semi-basement floor, rectangular plan scheme and hipped roof with Marsiglia tiles, U-type stairways. You can see in the picture and the plan. Wooden windows with stone jambs. Windows are wooden, but jambs are stone. And some of them with case stone. You can see the first floor, there are case stones on the windows. Floor cornices tan and brown painted. You can see staircase, the other windows with rectangular, the windows with jamb with case stone here. Interior photograph of the buildings, classroom, corridor, another classroom. And now next object, the Fevzi Pasha Primary School. It was Greek Mektep in 1922. This building has two high masonry floor. You can see here upon the semi-basement masonry floor, covered with thrashing brick on the old facade. Rectangular plan scheme, hipped roof with Marsiglia tiles, Baroque style stairwell. It's an exceptional building that has got Baroque style stairway. Windows jamb with mixed stone and thrashing brick of them with case stone. You can see the case stones and thrashing bricks. Brown color, ornamental floor cornices. It's got partly neoclassical style, monumental entrance, ornamental interior. You will see the ornamental interior next photos. Here are another photographs. Here the more ornamental. This building interior has more ornamental than other buildings, I think. Here are the another exterior photographs. And next subject is Mustafa Necati Primary School. It's German Mektep in 1925. It's located in Kaleiçi. Two floor on the cut stone covered semi-basement floor with again masonry system. Gable roof. Its roof different from others, more simple and gable. The cut stone floor cornices. Wooden windows with cut stone jambs. Windows are wooden and their jambs are cut stone. And the building paint is pink. And another photograph. And the additional building of the German Mektep. It got additional buildings. Interior photograph, classroom, stairway and corridor. And now the next topic, the Edirne High School. Built by 1912, sorry. It was named Muallim Mektebi. It means it was used as the teacher school. Two floors open on masonry semi-basement floor near the square plan shape. Atrium, it got atrium, hipped roof with Marsiglia tiles, floor cornice, ornamental endings, arched wooden windows with case stay. You can see here windows, full arched and keystone, and monumental cornice here. And that's I can say for these photos. All. And see the another photograph of the buildings here. Interior photograph, and you can see the atrium here and the roof here. Modern roof. It's got upper on the atrium with steel frame system. And I'm going to present you this building that you are going to come next week, and we will work on here. The Trakya University Faculty of Architecture. It was military, opened as military school in 1871. 2 floors masonry on semi-basement masonry, but it's a partial masonry from the back facade of the buildings. Rectangular plan shape, but with big courtyard, and this building has got backyard, roof with Marsilya tiles, arched windows, we got low arched doors, we got stone cut window jambs, floor cornices, walls covered with cut stone and threshing brick partly. And we got 2 staircases in the building, 2 historical staircases, I mean, and one of them is separate staircase. There are 2 parts of building is ununique, unfortunately, to complete the functional system. You can see the courtyard, the second entrance from the back of the building. Triangular pediment here, the car auto park, and the backyard of the school. The spiral staircase, you can see here, the corridor, the other staircase, and the door which open to the courtyard here, with low arch window and stone jambs. And another topic here. Today Fatih Sultan Mehmet Kur'an Kurs, and it was used as İttihat ve Terakki Mektebi in 1910. 1 masonry floor, open semi-basement floor, monumental and ornamental entrance, ornamental arch pediment, Baroque style staircase, neoclassical style plaster columns. He got cut stone and threshing brick covered walls, as you can see, and his building got console interior in seminar building. You will see in the next slide. You can see the neoclassical plaster columns, ornamental entrance, full arched cornice, and the long height door, and also rectangular wooden windows, and cut stones and semi-basement floor, and I think really monumental and ornamental on the same time building. You can see the seminar salon, console on the seminar salon, stairway, and the backyard. I want to show you 2 locations of this building on the map of the Edirne. The first one, İttihat ve Terakki Darül Eğitimi in Kaleiçi, in the old castle of Edirne. The second one, the Polak Mektebi. The third one here, Erkek Öğret Teacher School. Fourth one, Mektebi Rüşdiye. Fifth one, the Alyan Musevi Mektebi. Sixth one, the Maria Lorda Building. Seventh one, İttihat and Terakki Mektebi. 8th one, Darul Irfan. 9th one, Hamidiye Industrial School. And the 10th one, Asım Bey Darul Eğitim, Asım Bey Primary School. The other one, the German, it's not in the map because it's on the Karaağaç, another district, another region of the Edirne. So it cannot contain in the map. And our school, you are going to come here, the Military High School and Trak University Faculty of Architecture, and the Greek school. I want to classify the similar and different qualities of this educational buildings. Similarities. Let's talk about similarities. Almost all of them has got change of function. Was hospital, was headquarters, was masjids. They were got old function and they got daily function, today's function here. They got relocated. Relocated by mean it's not in the terminology of restoration. It refers to different two buildings. It was built in another location and destroyed and rebuilt again in different location. And another similarity, reconstruction. Again, it's not the meaning of the in restoration way. They got destroyed by the neglect or unusable conditions, and they are built as different building on the different locations. They all got 2 or 3 floors. Upon semi-basement floor. Semi-basement floor is all the same thing for them, and almost all of them masonry, one exceptional one. The neoclassical style on facades dominantly, ornamental jambs, floor cornice, plaster columns, and some of them got monumental entrance, and their roof is hipped generally. One exceptional, the gable roof. They are covered with Marsilya tiles. Differences between these buildings, 2 of them has Edirne High School and Architecture Faculty here has a courtyard and atrium. And one of them has got timber frame system and timber material, Şehit Asım Primary School. And their plan shape, all of these buildings is different plan shapes like T, U, L, rectangular and square plan shape, and one of them highly ornamental interior. Its interior was more ornamental than others, and this 2 of them has got UT and L style Baroque type stairway, and one of them the German school simple building with gable roof on the Karaağaç. Here are my references. If you have a more detailed question, I can share my resources with you. I can transfer it to you. Thank you for listening.